Hey everyone, and welcome back again to the channel. This is Style with Chika, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I made this beautiful bralette step gathers dress that I have on. If this is something that you're interested in learning, keep on watching to the end of this video. Leave a like if you find this video very helpful, and you can ask your questions in the comment section. Also, tell me what you think about this dress in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet so you do not miss any of my amazing tutorials. And let's get started. For this style, I'm going to be making use of 2 yards of this fabric that you can see here, but you can make use of as much as 3 yards depending on how much you want your gathers to be, depending also on your length and your body size. So you're just going to open up your fabric just like you can see me doing. So from this edge here, I'm going to fold in my fabric like this. I'm going to be folding it in a triangle-like shape, just like you can see. But before I start marking out, I'm going to have to trim out this edge here, which is rough. Once I've folded my material like this, I'm going to take the measurement from on top of my bust to under of my bust. This measurement is so that this piece that I'm about to cut out will be able to cover my bust totally. So if you don't understand this measurement, please watch this video above. Okay, I'll also be dropping the link in the description box. So then the measurement I had is 10 inches, so I'm going to be adding an allowance of 1 inch to make it 11 inches. So placing my tape from this starting point, I'm going to mark out 11 inches all around, just like you can see me doing. Place your tape at the starting point while moving it all around, so you don't get a different measurement across these points. So now I'm just going to connect the points like this, just like you can see me doing. Now this is the mark I have. I'll just go ahead and cut this out. So now I'm just going to cut out another piece of this. Now these are what my cut pieces look like after I have cut it out. I'll also be cutting out lining pieces for this. So just in case you're on the more busty side or you want a fuller cup, let me show you how you can do that. Let's say that your upper bust to your under bust is 12 inches. So I'm going to mark out 12 inches here, and I'll take my tape all around this point while marking out 12 inches. So now I'll go ahead and connect this point just like this. And after I've done this, I'll just cut this out. So now that I've cut out this piece, what I'll do now is to come to this middle point here, and from this middle point here, I'll just go ahead and draw a straight line like this. And once I've drawn this straight line, I'll come across this point and then I'll open it up just like you can see me doing. Now this is what it looks like. So like I was saying, you're just going to take your material. All right, so let's say this is my material. I'll take my material like this, and then I'm going to open this up, and I'll take the pattern piece and I'll place it on top. What I'm going to do is just to open it up like this so I can have more space in between. When I have more space in between, I'll just go ahead and connect the points like this. And after that, you can just go ahead and cut it out. That's if you want more material for your gathers at your buste area, or if you are on the bigger side and you want your bust to be totally covered. So this is how you do it, okay? But for me, I am not on the busty side, so this piece I have here is just enough for me, okay? So you can do this if your bust is on the smaller side. Alright guys, so for my back piece, I'm going to be making use of this pattern to illustrate this. I'm going to draw a straight line, and this straight line is going to be my starting line. So from the edge of my pattern paper here, I'm going to come in by 1 inch, and this 1 inch is going to be for my zipper allowance. I'll go ahead and connect these lines just like you can see me doing. So after this, you want to take your armhole measurement. For that, you want to take your bust measurement and divide it by 6. Whatever you have, add 1.5 inches to it. So mine gives me 7.6. I'll go ahead and take this measurement and I'll place it on this line. So as you know, the back of this dress is going to be open. So that's why this entire part that we would have marked out in a basic bodice is not going to be present. So you're going to take that measurement and you're going to place it on this line. So this line becomes your armhole line. From this point now, you want to mark out your bust line. My bust line is at 11 inches. After that, I'm marking out my waistline at 16.5 inches. I'll go ahead and connect these points just like this. So next, I'm going to take my bust measurement divided by 4 and I'll mark it out on this line just like you can see. I'll add an extra 1 inch of allowance to this measurement. Then I'll take my waist measurement divided by 4 again and I'll mark it out on my waistline. After that, I'll add an extra allowance of 1 inch or so for stitching and I'll just connect the points like you can see like this. Next, I just want this neckline to be a bit curved. So at this point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch and then I'll make it on my ruler to connect into this point just like this. So this is optional. So for my waist, I'm going to have a band. So because of that, I'm going to be coming up at this point by 2 inches. I'll be cutting out 2 inches from this measurement. So I'll just go ahead and rule this part out. Okay, so now this is for my zip. I'll go ahead and cut this out. So now I've gone ahead to cut out my material for this and you can see that I've added ½ inch allowance to this upper part and ½ inch allowance to the lower part. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and cut out the band that I'll be attaching to this point. As you know, this is already too short. So to do that now, I'm going to take my material. What you're going to do is take your round waist measurement. Okay, you're going to take your round waist measurement and whatever you have, you're going to add 2 inches of allowance to that. My round waist measurement is at 31 inches. I'm taking 33 inches, which is the 2 inches of allowance that I have added. So to do that now, I'm going to take my material. So I'm cutting out a straight piece of fabric, okay? So I'm going to take my material like this and I'm going to take my tape to where I have 33 inches and I'll go ahead and mark that out. So for this piece of material now, it's going to be my band. Okay, so I'm choosing my band length to be 4.5 inches, but instead of exactly cutting out at 4.5 inches, I'll cut out at 5.5 inches, which is 1 extra inch of allowance for sewing. So from this point, I'll go ahead and mark out 5.5 inches, just like you can see me doing. If the chalk is not very visible, please just try to watch and understand what I'm trying to explain. Okay, so I'm marking out 5.5 inches all across this point just like this. So I'll go ahead and cut it out now. So guys, after I've cut out my material, this is what I have. Just make sure that the length is long enough to go around your waist and your under bust, and make sure that the width you have here is big enough for what you want for your band. That is the space between your bust and the gathers. Okay, so this is what I have. I'll also cut out a lining piece for this one. So for my back piece, I went ahead to cut out a lining for it too. I cut lining for both sides. So I'm just going to place them right sides facing each other and I'm going to be sewing all around it. So just like you can see me placing them, place yours and sew it by ½ inch all around, leaving only the base open to turn this over to the right side, after which you give this a good press. So now I'm also going to work on my front. As you can see, I've cut out a lining piece for it. I did this for both sides and I also made a rope. This rope should be long enough to go around your neck and the width is just about 1.5 inches. So I've done this to one side and I'm just going to be using this other side to illustrate how you can get yours looking like this. So first of all, you want to take your rope. Just like you can see, you're going to place it inside of this piece. Alright, let it face the other side. So you can see this top part, it's like pointed. So I just want to make it straight and flat because my rope is also straight and flat. So then I'm going to take my lining piece and I'll place it right on top of the main material, and I'll also trim out my lining piece just like I did to the material. So now I'm just going to sew around this piece by half of an inch. I'll sew just like you can see me pointing out, and then I'll use this side to turn it over to the right side, and I'll give it a good press also like I did to the back. So now I'm done sewing all around it and I've turned it inside out. This is what it looks like, okay? This is one side and this is what the second side looks like. So I've also gone ahead to work on my back piece, and this is what it looks like now for both sides. So I'll be taking my front piece, my front bralette pieces, and on the sides here I'm just going to hold it down together and I'll sew on half of an inch. I'll go ahead and do the same thing to this other side. I'll just sew on half of an inch. Alright guys, so now I've sewn on it and this is what it looks like. Alright, and this is what it looks like for this other one too. So now I'm going to work on this side. To work on this side, you want to take your under bust measurement divided by 4. Whatever you get, you're going to gather this to that measurement. Okay, take your under bust measurement divided by 4 and gather just this side, just the side right here to that measurement, and you do that for both sides. Alright guys, so now I'm going ahead to gather this part here to my under bust measurement. I also do the same thing to this side, so they are going to just lie very close to each other like this. All right, when you measure from the starting point here to this other part here, you should be having your under bust measurement with just a little bit of allowance for your zipper. So now, since I cut out a band earlier, what I'm going to do is to place this band right on top of this piece like this, and then I'm going to sew on it to join it together by half of an inch. I'll sew to the end. So now I've gone ahead to join it, and this is what it looks like. So at the edge here, I had excess sticking out, so I just trimmed it. But before you trim yours, make sure that what you have at this point is your underbust measurement, and then the lower part can be your waist measurement, so it just fits into your body shape, okay? But for me, I cut it in a straight line because my underbust and my waist measurement is the same thing. I do hope you understand. So after that, I'm just turning this over and then I'm going to place my lining piece right on top of it like you can see, and I'll sew down on this by half of an inch. Alright guys, so now that I'm done attaching it, this is what it looks like, okay? When you turn it over to the front, it should be looking just like this. So you just go ahead and give this a good press, and along this area you're going to stitch down the material and the lining together. Okay guys, after I was done cutting out my front piece and my back piece, I also went ahead to cut out ropes from this material, and this is what I had left. This is just 2 yards of material, but you can see that it's still a lot. So if you're managing your material very well, you'll be able to use this amount of material. Okay, so this is what I have left. I'm going to show you guys how you can use this to create the gathers part of your dress. Alright guys, so first, this is 1 yard of lining that I have here. 1 yard is 36 inches, so I'm just going to divide this 1 yard into 2, just like this. So now I'm gonna have to cut out my lining, and I have 2 pieces of this. The length of this lining now is 18 inches. Remember, I had 1 yard, and since I divided it by 2, 1 yard is 36 inches. 36 divided by 2 is 18 inches. So I have the length of this as 18 inches, and at this point here, it is just 60 inches. Okay. So now I want to determine my length of my gown. So unlike your normal dress, you want to count it here. If not, you may end up with a longer gown. Alright, so my under bust measurement is 14 inches. Remember that I cut out a band. So the length of my band is 4.5 inches. So from this 14 inches, I'm going to count 4.5 inches, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4.5. So 4.5 inches for me now is 18 and a half. Okay, and the full length of my gown I'm making use of 36 inches. So now just keep in mind that my waistline for this gown is now at 18.5 inches. So now my waistline for this dress now becomes 18.5 inches, but the full length of my gown is at 36 inches. So I'll minus 36 inches from 18.5 inches, and that gives me 17.5 inches. So I'm just going to approximate that to 18 inches, and I'll be using 18 inches as the lower length of this gown, okay? So now for my lining piece, I'm just going to hem in the edge just like this. I know it's black, so you may not be able to see it clearly, but you're going to hem in the edge by folding it once and then folding it again so that it smooths all the way down, and you do that to both of the pieces that you have. So guys, now I'm gonna have to fold in the edge of the material, and I folded it in by 2 inches, so which means that the length of this now is 16 inches instead of 18 inches. Okay, I purposely did this because I don't want the lining to be showing through the main material piece. So because it's a step-by-step gather, I'm going to have to divide this in two, but I will not be dividing it in equal two so that the top one can cover the bottom. So the midpoint of 16 inches is 8 inches, but instead of using exactly 8 inches, I'll just come up by 1 inch so that the top one can cover the bottom very well. Okay, so I'm going to mark out 7 inches all the way through to the end of this piece, just like you can see me doing. Alright guys, now I'm gonna ahead to make the mark all to. So this is my remaining material piece. To cut it out now, I'm just going to fold it in two like you can see me doing. Alright, after folding it in two again, for it to be easier for me to mark and cut, I'll fold it in two again, just like this. So after I folded it, this is what I have. So now remember the math that we did for the length of our dress, where I got the length of my dress as 36 minus 18 inches, and that gave me 18 inches at the length as the length of my dress. So what I'm going to do is that I'll take that 18 inches again and I will divide it by 2, which gives me 9 inches. What I'm trying to do is to determine the length of material I'll be cutting out for my gathers. So I have 9 inches, but instead of 9 inches now, I'm going to be taking 11 inches. This is because of added allowance. So I'll place my tape this way, and then I'll mark out 11 inches. So I'm marking out 11 inches at this point. I'll also mark out 11 inches at this point, and I'll go ahead and connect it just like this. And I'll cut this out also. I'll cut out this top part of this material because this is the rough part. Alright, and this is still 11 inches because I did not measure that part when I was marking it. Okay, so now I'm going to cut out another material like this, which is 11 inches, because I want this to be long enough. So I'm just going to place it right on top of each other, and then I'm going to trace it out. So I'm going to be joining this together so it can be long enough for my gathers. All right, now this is for the first step of my gathers. For the second step of my gathers, I'll go ahead and cut out the same thing. Alright guys, so I'm gonna have to cut out two of this again. I cut out the first one and I cut out the second one, and that was the most that my material could go. But like I said in the beginning of this video, if you have more material and you want your gathers to be fuller, you may want to cut out even more pieces of this. So to start now, I'm just going to join these two pieces together, right sides facing each other, and I'll do it to both sides. After I do that, I'll hem in the edge of it like this, but then I will not be doing it by so much, just half of an inch, half of an inch. That makes it 1 inch. I'll be using to fold this, just like you can see me doing. Okay, so I'll do that to both pieces of fabrics that I have cut out. Okay guys, so now I'm gonna have to make this mark all the way down. and I've ironed out this material piece. So I'm going to start from the first line, and then from this edge I'm just going to gather on it like this. And then on this second line, which I marked out, I'll still take the other piece which I worked on, and then I'm going to gather on it also. So with that, now I'll have two steps. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So now I've gone ahead to sew on it, and this is what it looks like. I've done the first step, and then I've done the second step. So when you're doing this, the idea is just to make sure that the one on top covers the one under, so that it doesn't show. Okay, it can cover it by as much as 1.5 inches, 2 inches, 3 inches. Okay, so if you want your gown to be longer, you can just use this step by step method to make your gown to any length that you want. So now I'm just going to attach this gathers piece that I've made to the upper part, which I did earlier. And for this is still a bit long, okay, because the length of this lining was by length 60. Okay, so I'm still going to have to gather it to fit into this waistline. So to do that now, I'm going to place this right sides facing each other, and I'm going to gather just like you can see me doing till the end of
Alright
the
guys, so
fabric.
now I'm done attaching the gathers to this other piece. So for the back it has a lining, and for the lining would also be gathering it. So you just want to open it up like this, okay? And you want to make everything to relaxed to this corner, just like you can see me doing. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your lining, and for your lining now, you're going to gather it this way, okay? You're going to gather it like this so that when it opens up, it can close up this rough edge. So just make sure that the lining is facing this other way before you start gathering. So gather from this corner all the way to the end, all right? Alright guys, so now I'm gonna head to gather on it. And when I just open this up, this is what it looks like at the back. So you can see it's looking very neat, and this other rough edge is hidden inside now. So next I'm going to work on the back so I can fix my zipper. So you just want to bring the two ends together like this, okay? So you want to determine where you want your zipper to stop. Just make sure that it stops at a point where it can pass your hip, all right? So let's say somewhere around here, okay? Just make sure that for yourself you're picking a point that would be able to let this gown pass through your hip. All right, and I'm just going to arrange this entire clothing to that point that I have picked. All the pieces of clothing at the back here, I'm going to arrange it to that point that I've picked, just like you can see me doing. And then I'll just go ahead and pin down on it. Alright, so now that I've pinned down on it, I'm just going to close up the remaining ends of the clothing right here, and at this upper part I will attach my zipper. Alright guys, so now I'm gonna have to fix the zipper on the back of the dress, and I've sewed the other part down. So this is what it looks like. Okay, I fixed the zipper on 1/2 inch. Alright, this is what the inside of the gown looks like. You can see it's looking very neat. Alright, I also went ahead to make ropes. If you looked at the picture at the beginning of the video, you'd see that I tied this gown in two different forms. Okay, so now I'm just going to attach these ropes to this point here. So this is very optional, okay, just in case you want to tie your ropes in different forms. You can also make it detachable by using press-ons, just in case you want to wear them in different forms on different days. Okay, so I'm just going to attach these ropes here, but if you want to tie it just in the bralette form, then you can just go with this one. All right, so this is basically all I have for this dress. I do hope you found this tutorial very helpful. If you did, don't forget to leave a like. So much think about this dress in the comment section if you be trying this out. Subscribe to this channel for more amazing content so you do not miss any of my tutorials, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.